summary of the minutes of the Executive Committee of August the 2nd. And I hope you're there at your place there. Give you a minute to look those over and see if there's any questions anybody has.
I move that be approved as written.
It's just moved to be approved as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion's carried. Okay, Mr. Cox, you're first up.
Well, just
Got
for
all the streets dug up?
that's right. For
Good
dramatic
design.
effect, we're paving this morning. If you didn't notice coming in, the West AJ Street is moving along a little more than halfway. You'll see big progress this week with the milling operation. So that's good news to finally see that one moving. On the project at the railroad in Cumberland is almost done. We're about 90% done. We're also doing the final paving and patching concrete work on that one. The project out here on West Main Street, the stormwater project along the railroad track, is just getting started. It's about a quarter of the way done. TDOT on their big project on the west end on West AJ is about 90% done. They're doing the markings and those sorts of things. It's essentially complete. With TDOT, the local transportation group just finished a study of West AJ that covers what improvements we're going to try and do from the county line all the way to Morris in the next decade. And so that will help us as we're lobbying with the state on future improvements. We're just starting, and I think Marshall, you're on that steering committee study of the Cumberland corridor as well. And we're hopeful that again, we'll be in a good position to get the state to pay attention to some areas where we have some needed improvements.
Are you saying that the project from theoretically the 11E to Westerville?
No, the other end. The other end.
Oh, the other,
That's other county line, I'm sorry. Yeah. We do have a meeting set with TDOT on the long anticipated improvement at ETPC and Progress Road. That'll take place in September. If TDOT goes at their normal pace, that means they're about a year away from bidding that project for construction. But they are looking at plan review. We'll have an opportunity to make comments and try and get that one moving if we possibly can. Our local paving, our neighborhood streets is scheduled, but we're having some problems with our contractor having the labor to get things done and get all their work scheduled for this year. We're hoping it'll be done in October, but I can't make that promise just yet. On Tuesday, next Tuesday, we're going to have a council look at the bids we just opened for improvements for water lines on Main Street. That will allow us to have fire flow protection for all the old stores downtown. We've got outstanding bids. We're looking for ways to get those funding lined up for that. Partially, at least, it will be CDBG federal funds, and we're trying to find the rest of it. Housing continues to be a very strong factor in the local economy. Last week, our staff had preliminary meetings with D.R. Horton, who was going to come strong into this market. They have 80 lots that are ready to go now on 3 different sites around town. So we can begin to see them moving in with their construction crews. Once they move in, it does not take long before neighborhoods to pop up out of the ground. A couple of other small things. At the airport, the SEI hangar, that corporate hangar that Kenny Noah is building, is making real progress. He's almost ready to occupy that major hangar. He has a ground lease that will allow him to build 2 more corporate hangars on the west end of the airfield. Our airport continues to have major demand for hangar space and is heavily utilized. It is a big, big part of our local economy. And then finally, the big project that occupies a lot of my time, the Morristown Landing Community Center, making really good progress. There are a lot of steel and masonry work is going on. A lot of concrete pads are being being poured, and the panels. Our panels for the pool are starting to be installed this week. We opted for a pool that allows for expansion in the future by having a metal framework underneath as opposed to poured concrete. So those panels are going in. The community center, if you've not looked at it, is starting to be more and more dramatic. We're excited about what's going on. So that's my report for this morning.
Thank you. Can you give us any further report on what was in the minutes about the American Recovery Funds? If you received any word from the government, what they're going to require?
The rules are supposed to come out before the end of September, the final rules. The interim rules are still being debated and explained. They are heavily involved in water and sewer projects. Broadband are their priorities. We've got a lot of other opportunities we continue to explore. We think probably between the city and the county, our number one priority coming out that will be first, because there is consensus, is an upgrade to our public safety radio system. Being able to go to a modern system that gets rid of some of the dead spots we've got in the county, that allows us to share not only within the county but with other agencies across the state. And I think both the city and the county and all the other agencies are on board with that one. We expect to see that one fairly soon. Beyond that, everybody in town thinks they ought to get a piece of the pie. That's yet to be divided up, but a lot of people have great ideas for how it ought to go, but we haven't not had a real conversation about where we're going to go.
Okay. Thank you. You want to report from Bill?
I'll do that.
Okay.
Bill's on his way to Murfreesboro to attend a state county mayor's meeting, so he wanted me to share this report. The Justice Center bid document will be released to the 5 pre-qualified bidders today. Census data for redistricting has been released. County redistricting committee will meet in September. The the state Supreme Court is requiring masks for all courtrooms. The number of people allowed into these courtrooms is limited. Live stream public forum on school COVID policy is tonight. And then live Facebook online forum featuring Morristown and Hamblen County doctors, health department and EMS directors is scheduled Thursday at 7:30 to discuss virus and vaccines. And then finally he says the health department director Sherrie Montgomery is retiring at the end of September.
Any questions? Anyone? Marshall?
So our big stuff at the chamber, Craft Beer Festival is coming up September 25th, and that'll be kind of like a community festival. We'll have a kids zone, bounce houses, face painting, music, food, just a day of fun. So we're a lot of planning going on for that right now. Industrially, we're still working on the ABB and Lear buildings. Our goal is hopefully to have someone at least committed on those by the end of the month. We're still waiting on some state decisions for funding on those as well. We've had a few companies approach us, about spec buildings and spec properties. And when we get into the discussion, it always gets to the point, well, it's almost too expensive to build them right now. Or if we started the process today, it's 9 months till we can get steel on site. So who knows where we'll be in the world in 9 months. I'm afraid if labor doesn't improve, it's not worth building anything. We're happy to occupy what we have and keep the employers we have staffed. I will say comments about the community center we're getting from industry is very positive. We've had lots of comments about quality of life and more health related, and they're talking about doing deals with the community center, and if their employees will participate so much, it helps their health insurance benefits. So a lot of the industries have been happy with that, showing quality of life toward their employees. So that's kind of what we like. We've done very well with outdoor parks and things like that, but to have some other facilities comparable to other communities of our size is very nice for our manufacturers. That's my main ones today.
Okay, Mayor, you have anything?
Uh,
Here?
Plenty going on, as you can tell from Tony's report.
You think Tony covered it all?
No, he didn't cover it all, he just covered what you want you to hear. That's what we covered.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Okay, anything else for discussion this morning?
Edgar, what kind of wood are these tables?
Huh?
Red up.
Red oak. I've learned more about Edgar and his wood. I mean, I knew Edgar knew about wood, but Edgar can tell you how the wood was cut.
Tell you about what?
He can tell you about how that wood was cut.
That tells you how old I
We weren't going there. Yeah.
Don't let him around your good furniture. He may scratch it up to
And,
too.
do we have any, active prospects on the, site that we just finished grading this?
We have a couple that we've submitted, projects on. We had one that we submitted it on and then we changed our minds a little, moved them to another site. It's just not, it's not a manufacturing, it's more warehouse distribution. And they came back and said, well, we don't like your other site, but we really like that graded site. And it's come to the point where we're gonna have to tell them, well, we like you, but we don't like you on that site. So it's not the kind of project we would put on that site, it's not big enough, you know, you're talking 100 jobs and you don't give away that kind of.
Distribution facility.
Yeah, this is not the right project to waste on that site. So we're being kind of careful with it, but we do have a few that we're long in the process on, and we'll see.
Anybody have any questions?
Marshall, how's the market for European companies come make visits?
European is slow to nothing right now. What we're seeing mostly is US companies looking around. We're seeing little to no European or Asian activity right now.
Marshall, that's primarily due to transportation, restrictions.
Yeah, it is.
Anybody have anything else?
Just encourage folks to get the vaccine. We're still a third. 1/3 of our people have the vaccine, 2/3 do not. That's not the formula for getting over this thing.
No, it's
We're
not,
getting
and
some of
I
those
don't know.
who did not at our funeral homes.
Yes.
I don't know, I certainly don't know, what in the world you can do to convince people, about the vaccine, and when you look at the figures, it, for the Lakeway area, type of thing, I think we're just barely above Hancock County, and that surprises me. And I know in the paper, we had it in the top corner of the paper for a year now, where you can get your shots and one thing and another. But I don't know anything that you can do, and to convince people that that's what they ought to do. And finally, when Fitzer, or whoever it was, got their big approval here last week, you think that would have a big effect, but didn't seem to have any effect.
What it means is the 1/3 that are vaccinated are now gonna start going back because they're eligible for the booster. And so I think what's gonna happen is that 32 or 33%, I think in early September is when you're eligible to get it. So there's gonna be a crowd, and it looks like everybody's getting vaccinated finally, but it really is it's the first bunch going back for the booster. And then there's gonna really be a difference between who's protected and who's not.
Anybody got any suggestions in my humble opinion, nationally or locally or statewide, that I think the vaccine is the only way that you're going to. I'm sorry, I'm old. I was born when I started school. They said you had to take the smallpox vaccination, and I've still got the scar on my arms for that. And the other shots that they give you, measles, type thing.
Jesus.
But I don't know how you're gonna convince people that that's the way to whip the vaccine. And I think part of the problem, is the debates that the, various national media have on the subject, whether it's safe, whether it's been tested, whether it's this, whether it's been that, or whatever the case may be. But just for the record, when you think of the millions of people worldwide that have had the vaccine already, and the very, very small problem they've had percentage-wise to that, it doesn't make sense. That makes sense to me, but, in other words, I noticed this morning on the radio news that they were giving the figures that we had in the local school system of teachers and students that have the vaccine. But I just don't have any thoughts of what we might do. If any of you do, in my opinion, that's the only way we're gonna whip this situation. And when you say that we've got less than a third in our county, that's bad.
Well, our first city employee that had to be hospitalized is out of the hospital now. He's still very sick, but he was one of those that said, I'm not gonna get that dang vaccine. Hopefully, when he gets back talking to the rest of the folks around the organization, he'll help spread the word that it's not a risk you wanna take. But other than that, I don't know what else is out there.
Well, some companies, have we got any companies that we know of that are requiring a vaccine?
Nothing in manufacturing that I've heard yet. They're trying to make it easier. Some of the companies are doing either on-site vaccinations, which the health department's been good if a company wants to invite the health department in. We do have a new video that a doctor here in town's done that's very simple, straightforward. Here are some of the questions about the vaccine. Our goal is to get out better information. It's amazing. We've got so many Facebook doctors that in the last week they turned into military strategists. So maybe if they've gotten off the doctrine and onto military, we can get good information out there. But Dr. DeLay's done a very good, straightforward video that we're sending out to all the manufacturers that answer some of those questions about the myths of vaccine, and they're hearing it from a doctor. So our goal is to get out good information, and then Crescent Center pharmacies offer 24 hours. If manufacturers want to come up there, they'll staff it so they can come get vaccines. We've got people in town doing their best. Sherrie at the health department, everybody's doing their best to get the vaccines out if people will take them.
Mr. Chairman, I think when you talk about the shot that you got left a scar, when you got that shot, they didn't tell you what the ingredients were in that shot, did they? And that's one of the things that's.
When I took that shot in 1940, if you want to know when I took it, in other words, they said, you will take it. And I told my mother, I said, does that needle hurt? She said, it doesn't make any difference.
Didn't hurt her, did it?
No, it didn't hurt her. It didn't hurt me.
But so many of our folks analyze the ingredients and make their own decision about the ingredients, what's in that shot. And that's the last hurdle to get over. I think one of the big hurdles we do see, and I'm talking from the medical end of it, we do see a few more people getting the shot only because somebody in their family either died from it or is in serious situation. That is the only uptick that really seeing it. One of the big cards everybody held was the FDA. If they approve it, well, now it's time to put up or shut up. But it's got down to the point where you're either going to get the vaccine or you're going to die from COVID. You got a choice. That's what it is. And today, I hadn't seen the numbers this morning, but last week, 87% of the hospitalized in ICU or hospitalized with COVID to some degree were unvaccinated people.
Yeah, then if the figures that I hear from the hospital is that very, very large percentage are unvaccinated, and
If you go on Covenant, East Tennessee, that's the corporate in Knoxville. If you go on their website, they have some very good videos, and there's one video on there with Dr. Mark Brown, who's the medical director of all the Covenant hospitals, and Jim Vandersteeg, who is the president and CEO of Covenant Health. They have a 20-minute sit down and answer all your questions, and it's excellent. So I'd recommend, if anybody has time to do that, Covenant Health, East Tennessee.
Covenant Health's got that.
Yes, sir. Out of Knoxville. Covenant Health, East Tennessee.
Any other thoughts or questions? Not, Chair will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Chester moved.